Hello, I am Dr. Jorge Cárdenas. I am here to begin. This is the first lecture in which I teach you a process called Healing Addiction is Fast and Easy. And this is going to be introduced in multiple lectures, and so the first lecture is titled Everything Begins as a Thought. And I wanted to explain to you about a force that I call the creative force that has been causing effects in your life, sometimes positive effects and sometimes negative effects that up to now you have not been aware of. And this is the force that has been at times destroying your life if you are dealing with addiction. If you are not dealing with addiction, but if you are the parent or the relative of a person dealing with addiction, this force is still affecting you, but in your very own unique manner. And it is my sincere hope that you learn today how to handle, it's my sincere hope that you will learn how to handle this force, if not today, but as a result of listening to all the videos that are going to be following this one. To begin, I want to begin the explanation by letting you know that I am a physician. And so the force that I am trying to teach you, that we label the creative force, has 4 steps. The first step is thought. The second step is word, or the repetition of the thought. The third step is the action, and the fourth step is the outcome. And I usually use my hand to show you the 4 steps of thought, word, action, outcome. If I take myself as an example, I'm a physician, that I'm the outcome. So before I got the medical license, the action, before I went to medical school, the action, I was repeating through high school, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor. But even before I uttered the first word, I'm going to be a doctor, this was a thought in my head. And it was that thought that caused the reaction that led me to become a doctor. Now, I can use this in several examples, but the process applies to every single situation. If you are watching this video and we consider that the outcome, before you connected to the computer and YouTube, before you even considered, you were repeating, I want to learn more about addiction, the beginning of that process would have been a thought, I need some help about addiction. And so even you listening to this video began as a thought. And I can explain this process with any possible outcome. For example, if I look at this phone, I can predict that this began with a thought by some person, I am going to make a phone. The point that I'm hoping that you learn today is that in life, in your reality, everything begins as a thought. The interesting part about it is that we have not realized is that when I said I'm going to be a doctor and the outcome is going to be a doctor, we've come to realize that the thought is equal to the outcome. They are in a different dimension. While the thought is in my imagination, the outcome is physically real. But it is identical because I'm going to be a doctor led to becoming a doctor. If I use the example of the phone, I'm going to make a phone would have concluded the process with making of a phone. The second thing that I want to emphasize today is that one thought by itself is really of very little consequence. The power comes when you repeat the thought. I could sit here and begin to say I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a policeman, I'm going to be... And if I consequently repeat, enunciate or pronounce different terms, I will never accomplish anything. So having a thought, one thought by itself, is of very little consequence. The power of the thought, the engine, if you will, of the thought, is the number of times that you repeat the thought. So, the two things that I want you to remember from this brief lecture is that at the beginning of any type of reality, it begins with a thought. And the second thing is that it is the repetition of the thought that causes this energy to move in the direction of the action and the outcome. The last thing that I want you to realize, or that I'm going to introduce for the next step, is something that I call, just for discussion's sake, the Cardinal's law. Briefly, in terms of thought, what it says is that your thought, your brain, only allows the thoughts that complete the outcome. And that will be the material that we will be discussing in our next video. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, if you have any comments, you can always contact us through our Facebook page. And the name of the page is Healing Addiction is Fast and Easy.